Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Reframeable podcast, a podcast that brings you people's stories and ideas about how we can work to reframe our relationship, not just with alcohol, but with stress, anxiety, relationships, enjoyment, and so much more. Because changing our relationship with alcohol is about so much more than changing the contents of the glass. This podcast is brought to you by the Reframe app. Reframe is the #1 iOS and Android app to help you cut back or quit drinking alcohol. It uses neuroscience to reframe your relationship with alcohol and unlock the healthiest, happiest you. I'm Emma Simmons. I'm a reframer, a certified life coach, and a Thrive coach with Reframe from New Zealand.
And my name is Kevin Bellack. I'm a certified professional recovery coach and the head of coaching at the Reframe app. How's it going?
Spiced it up.
Mixing it up a little bit.
It's fun. It takes me back to my radio announcing days and voiceover recording days. I don't think I did a very good job. I don't think my producer would have been happy with that, but it's fine. Anywho.
It was good. You didn't say my name afterwards, so that was good.
Yeah, my name is Kevin Bellack. No, that's not my name.
Yeah. Whatever you put up there, she's just going to read it regardless.
Yeah, absolutely do a Ron Burgundy. Yeah, no, I'm tired. Kevin and I were talking before we started recording. I'm tired. I had my youngest daughter's just entering competition season for her dancing. So she did her first solo dance yesterday. So it was a big day of lots of energy, lots of nerves, lots of anticipation. I don't know if I was more nervous or she was more nervous. And yeah, so now today is a crash and burn and go into hibernation kind of day, except I've got to do the grocery shopping. Isn't that the bane of everyone's existence? Ugh.
Yeah. Now we can order it and pick it up. Like they do the shopping for you, and it might be maybe $5 extra at the place we do it at, but it's so worth it because we save so much money by not going there, especially if I go there. All bets are off, because it was a joke when we were going back home recently for my mom, and like my brothers, like they put me in front of a screen. Like if we stopped at a gas station, we were ordering stuff. Like I came out and there was like, hey, it's road trip food, right? And they're like, oh, I got a sandwich, this, and I'm like, I got cheese sticks to share. And I pull it out and it's like a bucket
like 6 bags
of cheese sticks. There was literally like 20 cheese sticks in there.
Is it just like a stick of cheese?
I remember a comedian, I think, saying, hey, would you like to eat 5 sticks of string cheese? No? What if we deep fried it and then you dipped it in marinara sauce?
Those are good. Yeah,
bring
yeah,
them
no,
on,
all right.
Right?
Yeah, okay, now I understand what a cheese stick is. It's not just like a slice of cheese in
No,
plastic. It's
basically like
cheese, battered, deep fried.
Yep.
Dip it in,
Yep. And or we were ordering like, oh, hey, we're going to get some pizza tonight. Okay, I'll go on the app and order it. And then all of a sudden the guy comes and it's like stacked of pizzas and subs and a lot of the stuff that people said they wanted. And then a few things just thrown in extras. Just for good measure.
Yeah.
What's this, a brookie? The brownie cookie?
Oh,
yeah.
That's a new thing. I do that too. I hate doing like a pizza order or something. I'm like, what? Can we just get one of everything? No, Emma, we don't need the whole damn pizza store.
Yeah. And while I might see something on the app for the groceries that I'll be like, oh, I'll add that on, it's just night and day different than going and being like, we'll get one of these. Yeah. Let's go down this aisle.
See, we in New Zealand, you can do grocery orders and they like deliver it to your car or whatever, or deliver it to the storage locker. And it's $5 for click and collect, which is fine. Happy to pay $5 for peace of mind and ease and to take that stress out of my day. But they do really dumb substitutes. I don't know if substitutes are like, so one time I had rice bubbles, Riceys on the shopping list. Do you guys have
Riceys?
Like cereal. It's like a cereal that
like Rice
it's like
Krispies?
a rice puff.
Yeah.
Like the individual little rice things.
Yeah. But have you had like Rice Krispie treats? Is that a thing?
Yes. Yeah. So Rice Krispie treat is like a little cupcake thing, right?
It's like a bar. It's like a bar with like marshmallow and Rice Krispie, like the rice puffs.
Okay, yeah. So the rice puffs, Riceys on the shopping list, and they substituted it for cornflakes. Do you guys have cornflakes? You guys have cornflakes, cornies. Yeah. And I was like, okay, like close. It's a cereal. It's the same brand. Absolutely not what my kids will eat for breakfast, though.
Yeah.
And you can't make corny treats. Cornflakes. I mean, you can. There is a
Just smash them up and melt them with marshmallow.
It's different.
And I'm sure
it's not
good.
the same.
No,
How
it's
is
not.
that an accurate substitute?
Yeah,
like
no.
they do dumb. And one time they substituted regular coffee for decaf coffee, and I marched myself back into the shop, and I was like, "This is not a substitute." And the woman at the counter was like, "I am so sorry. Clearly, this person, like whoever packed your order, does not have children."
So you ordered decaf, and they gave you
No,
regular?
I ordered regular, and they gave me decaf.
Yeah, yeah, that's the bueno.
That is not acceptable. Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been funny, though. That would have been funny if you didn't notice, though. And all week you're like,
can you
what
imagine,
the hell
like,
is wrong with me?
Headaches and the full-on detox from caffeine.
Yeah. I think I'm coming down with something. I think I'm dying.
I just can't shake this head. Yeah, like Googling headaches, migraines.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I have a brain tumor.
Yeah.
Absolutely would have. But yeah, so I think it's just, I don't know, easier for me to go in. But I'm the kind of person, okay, so this is where my ADHD brain, like I have my list. I know exactly where everything is in the supermarket. I go through and I just express shop. I make a beeline for everything that I need. The only like slight deviation is if something's on special and I'll buy a different brand to what I normally would. But I'm in and out and I'm on track. Husband loves going grocery shopping. He loves browsing the aisles and he makes an event of it. And our grocery bill is doubled by the time he comes out of the shop, which is fine because he finds some really cool, unique things. But he'll be like, apples were on special. So I bought apples and I'm like, cool, the kids don't eat apples anymore. They've moved on to pears.
Now we have way too many apples. Now we have a whole apple problem going on where which they last a while.
And apple crumbles. In New Zealand, it's feijoa season. And I know you guys don't have feijoas, but I wish I could bring some over to America to share with you.
What is that?
You've had the feijoa candy. I bought that to you last time.
Oh, okay.
The green fruits. Oh, for those of you watching, hold on. Let me just go to my fruit bowl. This is going to make shit audio.
As long as it's not the chocolate-covered pineapple thing.
Pineapple lumps. They were delicious. They are delicious.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I don't know.
Chocolate-covered pineapple. Yeah, pineapple lumps. Yeah, I don't think you liked those.
But it wasn't like pineapple, right? It was... Oh, okay.
It's like a pineapple taffy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a feijoa. So these grow everywhere in New Zealand.
Oval
and they only
shaped, like they look like not less round, like more oval limes.
Yeah, like a slightly flattened lime is what it looks like, but it's absolutely not what it is.
Yeah.
I have a knife here, actually. Oh, look. This is not what I anticipated to do on this meeting.
On this week's episode of Baking Championships.
So this is a feijoa, so I don't even know how to describe it.
It looks like a zucchini inside or a cucumber almost. Like it looks just not
or
anything.
A tamarillo. Do you guys have tamarillos over there? No. Okay, cool. Great.
It's
probably called something
people
different.
Listening to this be like, yeah, we do. And I'm sitting here like, I don't know.
Yeah, so I guess it looks like it's green. It looks but it's pale, like cream and white on the inside. It looks kind of like a zucchini, but it's this delicious floral flavor. Floral, but it's grainy, like a pear texture, but it's juicy, and you can only get it like April time of year. And I refuse to buy them, although I actually bought these ones off our neighbour who has an organic orchard, or their family has an organic orchard. Anyway, because our feijoas aren't ready, but almost everyone in New Zealand has a feijoa tree if they've got any land. And you just live off them. And they're so high in vitamin C, which is what you need right now because we're heading into winter, so we want to boost our immunity. So good. Anyway, feijoa and apple crumble. The best dessert ever.
All right.
I lied. Anything with chocolate is probably better. But feijoa and apple crumble is
it's not... as far as desserts go for myself, that does not sound like it would be high on the list. I'm sure it tastes good.
I actually Googled last week if I can bring feijoas into America so I can make you guys like something, like actually give you feijoas, but you can't. They would take it off me at the border, which is sad.
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone imports them. Anyway, sorry, massive tangent. How did we get onto that?
But as you mentioned, you're going into fall. We're heading into spring, or we're in spring right now. Which is on topic for change. Yeah, let's go. We'll take this chance to segue into our discussion for today. And, we were going to talk about every month on Reframe. We have a monthly challenge in the app, and you can join solo, you can do it individually, you can join with a group, you can join with a group of people that you know and all get on that group together, or you could just open it up and join a random group and just connect with people. I think it's up to 10 people, right, in a group, and it's around there.
I thought it was 6, but they might have increased it to 10 since I haven't done a challenge in a long time because my ADHD kicks in and I get distracted by something else by the end of the month.
Yeah, I thought it up to 10, but I could be thinking of another group in the app as well.
Another
but
thing.
You're there with other people, at least 6, maybe 10.
And I always say it's such a great way to meet other people and to connect with them a bit more one-on-one rather than just in the meetings. And every now and then in the meeting, you'll see someone be like, oh, is there any space on a group? Or I have a group and I have a group with a couple of spaces left if anyone wants to join. So it's a cool way to connect a bit more and start building your accountability group or sobriety group.
Yeah.
The sobriety group or accountability group that I'm in now, we started with challenges and like slowly like people would dip out and we'd add a couple of people in, and then I think I got booted from the challenges because I was so terrible at remembering to do the tasks in the end. But I've still got my accountability group, so that's good. They kept me on for the accountability, just not for the challenges.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Yeah, you weren't checking off everything every day. That's fine. But no, that is a great way to just find other people that you can connect with. And you know what? One thing I always say is just, you might not, if you just join a random group or if you join a group, you might not like everybody. You might not get along. You might not connect. And it's not about getting along. It just might not connect, or some people might be more quieter than others. Yeah, but it's worth a shot. And it is worth a shot to do more than once, just because you're like, oh, I joined a group and it didn't work out for me.
No one chatted.
It sucked, right? And it's okay. That's not
everyone's like that.
Yeah. So keep trying. If you do have an experience like that, and I talk about with these challenges, but that's with anything, right? That's with, you know, if you reach out and you join a meeting on the app or a meeting in person or something, and you're like, wow,
it doesn't vibe.
This wasn't my people. However you want to put that, fine. If it didn't, like you said, if it didn't jive with you, then try another group, try a different group, go back to that group another time, because not every group is going to show up the same way all the time.
I think for those people that are like, oh, my group weren't very chatty and didn't really connect, join another one, and I hope that the next one you're like, oh my god, stop messaging me, people. You know, like polar opposites. It just depends on the tone and the vibe of the group.
Give yourself a chance to be Goldilocks. All right, this group is too much. This group is too much. That keep trying until you find you're just right,
and you will.
And again, that's with anything. Probably. I'll add a probably in there. I don't like being so definitive on things, but that applies to a lot of things. How about that? But with the challenges, we do dry and damp January. We have feel good February, March Madness.
Oh,
no,
good memory. I was like, oh, how are we going to go with this? You remembered all of them.
I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank on the exact March name, but
it was March Madness.
It wasn't March Madness. Obviously, that's probably trademarked and copyrighted and all that, but it was something about mad. All right.
One moment, please, caller.
We could pull, one moment as we pull this up. But April, and while you do that, look for that. April is going to be April Awakening. So nice alliteration when you can get it.
It was Mad March Challenge.
March Challenge, yeah, okay. Yeah. And but for April, we're doing April Awakening, and obviously in the is it the whole northern hemisphere? Yeah.
It is the whole northern hemisphere is going into spring. Well done.
Whereas down under, the southern hemisphere is going to be going into fall.
Autumn
or fall. But ultimately, it's like we're going into a new period of time, and we're going to be talking planting seeds, cultivating growth, awakening the senses to a little bit of self-discovery and things like that, and blossoming and thriving, moving forward, like towards the end. That's how it'll trend. And so we want to just talk a little bit about that here today.
Ideas for April Awakening.
Yeah.
So planting seeds. When I think of planting seeds, okay, it makes so much sense if you're heading into spring when you talk about planting seeds, but it can also apply in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah.
Because this is the time of year where you plant your Sorry, excuse me, I've got a tickle in my throat. You plant your bulbs, you plant your daffodils, and you plant your ranunculus and your peonies, and they sit underground and they don't really, on the surface, it looks like they're not doing anything for months and months. And then come spring, they pop out and they blossom and they bloom and they're beautiful. Same applies. So we might be talking about planting seeds and thinking about springtime growth. But I guess that's a great example of sometimes you plant a seed and depending on what that seed is or bulb is, it might take longer to blossom and longer to come to the surface. And that's the same with, and that applies to us as people as well. Sometimes you plant the seed of sobriety or self-help of some description, and it takes a while for you to fully realize and understand and notice the change or the bloom in yourself.
Yeah. And yeah, I really do love this kind of thought of the seed or gardening or whatever. And I'm not a gardener. Like, I literally have a desk full of Lego tiny plants and a bonsai Lego tree over there because I had some real live plants house plants in my office here that died.
Didn't survive.
Or I try and, okay, I'm going to water it. I'm going to do what it says and follow the instructions. And it still did that, but it was like clinging for a while, or a new sprout would pop up only to not last. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to stop trying this and I'm just going to build my own tiny plants. I'm looking at it about like our journey too with anything, right? It could be with alcohol, addressing our relationship with alcohol, or any kind of new, I'll just say new, but anything that we're going to try and work on in our life. I like the thought about being like a gardener. And I was what I think is a shitty gardener in the past. I look at it as I planted a seed. I dumped a bunch of, when I wanted to make a change, I would plant a seed, dump a bunch of fertilizer on it, which only suffocated the seed and didn't let it grow, and tried to do too much too quickly, right? Oh, if a little fertilizer is good, more must be better. And, I watered it too much, not enough. I was trying to do, and I didn't slow down to the speed of that thought of growth, of planting a seed, waiting for it to sprout, tending to it and all that. I would forget about it. You could carry this metaphor to any different direction of change that you want and growth and all of that. Google it. You get a bunch of suggestions on how to tend to plants, or insert whatever you're working on here.
And isn't that like the classic kind of almost New Year's resolution, or when we decide to get healthy, I'm gonna get healthier. I'm gonna give up alcohol and I'm gonna be healthy. And you're like, cool, I'm gonna do all the things. And then you burn out and it doesn't click, or you try and do too much too quickly. And so I think, same as we're just like plants, we're living things. You've got a little bit at a time and plant the seed, give it a little bit of water, give it a little bit of sunshine, and just let it slowly blossom rather than be like, all the water, all the fertilizer, go. That's not how blossoming works.
And it requires time. It requires patience, whether it's waiting for something to grow or making a change. We need that seed of an idea to take hold, but we also need to plant it. And with that, I mean, like, we can't just expect to know how to do certain things. And that's where listening to podcasts, listening to books, reading books, going on the Reframe app and doing the daily tasks. And even if you open up a daily task, you're like, I know this, like whatever this is, I know what this task is going to tell me. No, you don't, because you haven't read it. And this one might say something.
Yeah, one little sentence that you're like, interesting. And that's the same with, I think, with community meetings as well, as you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what's going to work for you and someone will go, oh, I tried XYZ, and you go, I've never thought of that. Okay, I'll give it a go. And you can give it a go and it might work. You could give it a go and be like, didn't connect, didn't work.
Yeah.
Sorry if you can hear my dog greeting everyone in the street right now. But jumping on community meetings, because you've only got so many ideas in your own head, I guess. And this is where collaborative community recovery is amazing, because you get ideas from other people that you've never considered, thought of, been introduced to. I'm trying to think of an example of something that actually early on in my sobriety days, I would, not that I necessarily got, I think I did get this idea from another reframer. of all of the fruit and veg I would cut up and put into meals. I would save the seeds and I would literally, I would harvest them, and I'd taught myself how to put them in, what are they called? Kitchen towels, paper towels? What do you guys call them? Kitchen towels.
Yeah.
And a little bit of moisture, a little bit of cinnamon so they don't go moldy, put them in the fridge to hibernate them or germinate them. I did all of that and I planted, and now I've got a couple of avocado trees growing. I tried to grow an apple tree, but that, I don't know, it's clearly not growing 2 years on because I don't know where it is. But yeah, I think that was there was a suggestion, or someone else in the Reframe app had said that they were doing it, and that became my sole hobby for the first month or two of my sobriety journey. Or it became my vitally absorbing interest was trying to grow things from seed.
Yeah.
It helped.
Anything like that where I've seen a sourdough bread phase throughout meetings where people are sharing that and by numbers, all the I'm going to go on.
Watercolors, paint by numbers.
Yeah.
Crochet.
I started cross-stitching.
Cross-stitch. Yeah. It's cool to watch though, because you get introduced to these people, and then you'll notice, I don't know, 6 months later, you're like, how's that sourdough? And they're like, oh yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
It was good. It was a lot of work. I can buy it at the store, so I'm just going to do that. But others, that can be that it's like coffee. I can go during the week, I'm going to sit there with my Keurig and pop a K-cup in and drink my strong coffee out of that because I'm lazy. Because I want to focus on other things is the better way to say that. But on the weekends, I'm going to take a little bit more time, and not always, of course. Every day is different. Every day can be different. But grind up some beans, put them in my coffee maker that I have, or I know you're making it in a French press earlier, or I pour over, or it's what is that ritual, routine? Those types of things can change, and we can make them into something that really supports what we want to do. Even if it's almost tangentially, is that the right word for that? Or even if it's not directly, right? It doesn't have to be a direct thing that we're doing for whether it's, I want to get stronger and work out more. You know what? That could be the sourdough bread because I pause or the coffee in the morning because I'm taking time with a ritual to get my day started, which makes me want to wake up earlier and start that, which makes me want to then, okay, I'm ready. I started my day. I'm going to go put my shoes on and go outside now for a walk or run or whatever. I'm making stuff up.
You're habit stacking.
Yeah, I pulled back on my sourdough bread to workout correlation that I started out with there. I'm like, I don't know where I'm going with that.
I don't know. I've never made sourdough, but I know you've got to nurture the
yeast or whatever
yeast at the beginning of it.
Yeah, what's it called?
The mother?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Am I thinking kombucha?
Maybe. Yeah, I think we both. No, that's the SCOBY. Oh, look at us.
All right, moving on.
Cool.
Let's stay away from that tangent vortex that we were just about to dive into.
That we don't know anything about.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. You habit stacking, so your goal, or you set the intention of, I want to get stronger, or I want to get fitter, or okay, let's go with it always comes down to exercise with us. But anyway, I want to get fitter and stronger. So what are we've planted that seed, I'm going to get fitter and stronger, and I have this goal of, I'm going to do 10 chin-ups. That was my goal during lockdown, one of the lockdowns, because in New Zealand we had so many. So how do you start that? What are the steps? How do you habit stack that? Okay, so I'm going to get up, maybe I sleep in my exercise gear so that when I wake up I don't have to ruffle around my drawers and find exercise gear and get into cold exercise gear in the middle of winter. So maybe you sleep in your exercise gear, maybe you get up and you make that cup of coffee, but while you're waiting for the kettle to boil. A kettle is not something I've discovered is not something many Americans have. When I was at a friend's place in Texas, she didn't have a kettle.
Oh yeah.
So I was boiling water on the stove in a pot.
Yeah.
It's like a kettle, an electric jug.
Yeah, I have.
You know what it is, right?
I have one or two kettles, yeah. But no, you're right. And if we don't, tea isn't as prevalent, and therefore I think we have other things that maybe focus more on coffee, and that's it.
Oh yeah, you said Keurig before. For those down under, Keurig is like a coffee machine. You buy like pods to put in it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's
here
a
too.
Brand of no, but we don't have them down here.
Oh, I thought you were saying you did. Sorry,
we don't. I was introduced to that for the first time in Texas as well.
Yeah.
Anywho, massive tangent. So you're boiling the kettle, you're boiling your water to make your coffee, or you've put your pot in your machine and you're waiting for the water to heat up, whatever way. And maybe you have a glass of water because that's part of your like getting healthy. So you have a glass of water while you're waiting for the kettle to boil. And then, but you're looking forward to that coffee because once you've had that coffee, you know that you're going to go and do your little workout. So just by setting the intention of, or planting the seed of, I guess that seed is, okay, tangent, Emma. There are two, I can see two spaces where we've planted a seed there. I can see we've planted the seed of, I want to get stronger and do 10 chin-ups, which was planted maybe a month ago. But I can also see that we've planted a seed, or maybe we've used fertilizer the night before by going to bed in our exercise gear. So it's not necessarily about waking up and knowing that we're going to, it's setting that intention the night before and then carrying it through.
Yeah.
Did you like that tangent?
I did. I wouldn't say that's a tangent. That's right on point. But
there were just so many connections.
Yeah. And I remember someone saying on a meeting, I probably mentioned that here too in the past, we were talking about morning routines. And again, this was like a little nugget that I pulled from a meeting where the person said, my morning routine starts the night before. And I was like, that's brilliant because that's so true. It's not just about the time that we're doing something. And you can extrapolate that out further too. It's if we have those times of the day, let's say that I would come home from work and I would get home at 7 o'clock and that would be the time that I would maybe pour a drink. We can sit there and focus on that time, or maybe it's like later night, I would be drinking more and all that. But how can we look at the areas around it as well? And it's like those little things that can make a big difference of, well, why first, obviously why do I feel like I need that when I get home? I'm probably stressed. I'm a little tired. All those things. So it's like finding ways to change that up, but it could also be like tomorrow I signed up for this class that I'm going to do. So I have to, it can work in reverse too. Like my evening routine can benefit from my morning routine as well. We're not talking about routines. I'm going off on that a little bit, but it's I need to show up tomorrow. So I'm going to change the way I do things tonight, or I know this is how I show up here and I'm stressed and I'm all that. So what can I do throughout the day earlier on to plant little seeds that are going to help me? I'm taking this in the wrong direction with the seed thing, but insert things throughout my day to help me in that moment. It's not all about that moment, right?
It's almost a chicken or an egg kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you have a good nighttime routine, it benefits your morning routine and benefits your day. But then also if you have a good morning routine and a day routine, and if you wake up and exercise and physically energize and use your energy, and then mentally use your energy throughout the day, and then you go to bed early and you read a book perhaps instead of doom scrolling, and that's going to help you sleep, which is going to help you in the morning. Chicken or egg.
Yeah.
But it's all about those little seeds, or those little bits of fertilizer throughout the day that help encourage and nurture your blossoming, nurturing your thriving.
Yeah.
Hashtag Get Thrive.
Hashtag Get Thrive.
I'm going to make you a t-shirt with that on it, by the way. It's coming.
Yeah. I feel like we got inserted another hashtag. I don't know if that episode's out yet or not, though. I can't remember what it is, though, right now. So it's probably a good thing. It's
just like in hashtag another dumb thing Emma said that didn't come out right.
That's not dumb. It's funny.
Hashtag Emma and words are funny. Anywho.
I mean, but you can keep, and I've thought about this in a lot of different ways too. Like even the whole, I'm going to carry this gardening thing one more step. It's sometimes we grow too big or grow out of the space that we're in, and we need transplanted in some way. We need a bigger
pot.
Yeah, a bigger space to thrive, or a different space to thrive because the conditions currently aren't good. And I think about that as like our current environment, like the people, places, things that are around us. Yeah, we might need for whatever we're doing. We might need to not like totally remove, like it's not like we're ripping ourselves out of that and dramatically planting ourselves just randomly somewhere else. It's more methodical, more thinking of this more, and I don't know. It's a little bit, it's not so abrupt, I guess, is what I'm going with here, because it can cause stress to do that. It can stunt our growth for a little bit, maybe, until we really take hold in that new area. But in the end, that can help us grow even more because we need to change up our environment.
Yeah, and it can just be little tweaks, like instead of having your third cup of coffee for the day or sixth cup of coffee for the day, maybe you spice it up and you have a herbal tea. And that one little change, like just changing that environment, changing that thing, can help you grow, because maybe that one cup of herbal tea turns into a glass of water, which then reduces from 6 cups of coffee to 5 cups, to 4 cups, to 3 cups, to 2 cups, to probably a healthy 1 cup. But let's be honest, look at the size of my cup. For those of you listening, the cup is almost the size of my head. This is my second cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just like my alcohol pause, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have
It's just one.
one glass.
Yeah.
It's just one. It's actually 6, but
yeah,
you know, but it's just one.
Yeah, that's
Didn't
like
we
a
all do
20-ounce
that? Not all
mug.
of us.
It looks like.
It doesn't say how big the mug is on the
Yeah.
bottom, but yeah, it's from my chin to my eyebrows for those listening and not watching. Anywho,
I immediately wanted to be like, no. Whenever you're like about if you go from 6 cups to 5 cups to 4 cups, I was like,
no,
not
we increase cups, Emma, not decrease.
Yeah, no, but exactly, like it is that it's baby steps too, right?
Baby steps, tiny little changes can definitely help move us in the right direction. And sometimes, okay, good segue for Emma. Sometimes it's about removing things instead of adding things in. So instead of being like, I'm going to drink more water, I'm going to get healthy, I'm going to drink more water, I'm going to hydrate. So you're still drinking 6 cups of coffee, but you're also going to drink 8 glasses of water a day. So you're going to add in the water.
Yeah.
Like my bladder might explode if I tried to do that. So sometimes it's about, what do I need to remove? And this is part of the April Awakening challenge as well, is like assessing and looking around at what's going on in our world and what are we doing. And okay, so we want to be healthier or we want to exercise more. Okay, but then where is that going to fit in? Do I need to remove something from my life, from my day? Maybe your spring awakening is about, I actually want to have this beautiful, clean, tidy home, as I look around at an absolute disaster of a living room because I didn't clean it all yesterday because of being a dance mum. Okay, cool. I want to have a perfectly clean, open home, ready home. How am I going to do that? Because I'm not going to be able to do that with running around after 2 kids and 2 jobs and all of that kind of stuff. So what am I going to remove? Am I going to remove dance mumming, or am I going to remove a whole child? No, I'm not going to remove a whole child.
Am I going to remove the expectation that my house has to be perfect or look a certain way when I know I'm doing other things that are more important to me?
That I value more. Yeah. But so my goal was to have a perfectly tidy house. Okay, then maybe that means I remove my expectation on myself to do a grocery shop in person, and maybe I do that online.
Yeah.
Maybe I remove the expectation that I'm going to walk the dog for an hour every day, and I give that job or that task to someone else. You can't, instead of adding things in, sometimes we need to remove something.
Yeah.
So I want to drink more water. Cool. Then I probably need to drink a little bit less coffee. I want to, back to the chin-ups, because I'm looking at my chin-up bar that hasn't been used in months, years. I want to do 10 chin-ups. Okay, that means I might need to do less Pilates. I don't do Pilates, but I need to do less of something. Maybe I need to read my book less so that I can exercise more. I don't know.
Yeah.
These are all good things that I'm trying to cut out of my life, though.
Yeah, because that's definitely like where we need to look at, because we can't do everything, right? A lot of things too, the way I have seen it or have tried to see it more of, is like an energy issue. It's not, oh, I can do more, I can do this, I can fit this in, I can fit that in. It's, do I have the energy for it? But also, I can't possibly have the energy for everything. And if I devote more time and energy in one area, I have to take it away from another. And that might seem obvious, but I don't think it is. I think that's where we just add and add and add. And if you Google a life wheel and do that exercise where life wheel has different slices, it's a circle and it has different pie slices in it, where one might be nutrition, one might be our health, one might be our sleep, one might be our work, one might be our finances, mindfulness, creativity, hobbies, relationships, social life. You can make your own and assess it, but in the center out for one of those slivers, let's just say it's for my sleep. Like the very outer edge of the circle are all 10s. And in the middle, you start and then you go out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you like, rate, like, how's my sleep right now? Right now, I'd probably give my sleep a 5.
Oh, that's good.
Maybe a 3. Like that, it's a toss up. Like that's where it's trending. But if I wanted to, but maybe my work is feeling like an 8 and maybe I'm working out more. I'm not at the moment, but maybe that's an 8. Maybe I'm devoting a lot of time to, maybe I was running or working out more. And the more we devote time to those, the less I might have for sleep. But if I want to get more sleep, then something has to give somewhere. And a lot of times we're not open to giving, or said another way, removing something, right? And I think that's a big problem with when we approach something, when we approach a change, we need to become aware of everything that we're doing and be open to actually changing, actually making changes that will work for whatever we want. Because too often we just try and add that other thing in. Like you said, okay, I'm going to, in addition to the 6 cups of coffee and whatever else, I am going to add in a gallon of water instead of a half a gallon of water or whatever. I'm going to add in that just more instead of looking to maybe remove a couple of cups of coffee, and therefore I don't need as much water to flush that out or something.
We tend to add on, and sometimes we're saying removing as if it's final, but I don't mean it like that. Like it's reducing or removing, still the right word, but it doesn't mean that it's gone forever. So say your focus is on your goal's to run a marathon. Cool. You're going to need to focus a lot on running. And so you might reduce some of your time in the gym, still exercising. You still want to be going to the gym, but you might remove it, and you might tweak your focus on muscle growth into like functionality. And so you reduce it, or you remove your time in the gym lifting heavy weights for that time being while your goal is to run a marathon. Then once you've run the marathon, you can go back to lifting weights. It doesn't mean it's removed and gone and never happening again. It's just for the time being to achieve that goal or that whatever aspect of your life you're trying to improve. It just needs tweaking.
I think about I've finished like that 75 hard challenge a few times. And that's a perfect example too of you're adding stuff in that maybe you're not doing. You're adding in 2 45-minute workouts. You're adding in a gallon of water. You're adding in reading 10 pages. What else? I always miss stuff, but you're adding these things in. And that's one of the biggest problems. People think it's a physical challenge. I always say it's a mental challenge. It's a mental challenge to fit that into your day, because there was plenty of times in those 75 days when I was up at midnight walking outdoors or up at 2 a.m. I'm like, I got to read my pages. And you know what? Suffered sleep, obviously. And that's not a sustainable thing that we can do all the time. Obviously, you make changes along the way when things come up. It's okay. Anytime that's why I joke when I did that challenge, you have to drink a gallon of water or 4 liters. And I'm like, you only have to drink half a gallon of water after 10 p.m. one time to make sure that you front load the water in your day from that point forward, because you want to talk about brutal sleep. Drink 2 liters of water and go to bed.
Right before bed. No.
Good luck.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah. So giving yourself, becoming aware of it. And that's like the whole April awakening type of thing. And that's like the first step is we need to plant the seeds. We need to become aware of what we want. What seed do I want to plant? And
where's that motivation coming from for that?
Yeah.
Like you've planted the seed, but where's the motivation? How are you gonna fertilize that seed?
Yeah, the motivation might be there, but is it going to continue? So it's setting yourself up for success in that way too, because obviously motivations can be internal, external, intrinsic, extrinsic. We can look at it from those perspectives of, okay, where am I getting this? Am I being motivated by other people who are maybe someone says I need to stop drinking or drink less? That's an external force. Now, I could also have an internal motivation for myself to do that. but it's like, where are these coming from, and what's going to last, and what's going to carry me as I go with. And that's where doing the April challenge with a group, external motivators can be helpful. I know I rely heavily on external motivators to do a lot of things that I want to do in my life, because it's like, I'll post something on social media, like I'll put it in my stories or something, which I haven't done in a long time, but I always say I want to get back to, and just haven't done it. But I'll post stuff there, and it's like, I'll post, oh, I'm doing 75 hard, or I'll post, oh, day 1 complete, if using that example. And I'm not doing it to be like, hey, look at me. I'm doing it to be like, hey, look at me. If you don't see me tomorrow, say some shit.
And that's where the whole community calls Kevin out when we don't see day 3.
Yeah. And then it's, Kevin, where'd you go? Where's that post? And that goes back to, okay, how can I, knowing ourselves too, and knowing how we are best motivated. And it can be different though, but we need, I think, a little bit of both. There needs to be, some people will say that they're very internally motivated, and that's great. I'm not a big fan of motivation to begin with. I'll just throw that out. You might have heard that in the past too, but it's how do we make it part of our life? How do we make, if we're going to be motivated by something, how do we make it a practice? That's been my word of the week. I did a meeting on that, where it's, how can I incorporate these things more tangibly into my life to help me? Because motivation is great, but it can be a very abstract thing. And I was just sharing about we were talking about our whys in a meeting today, and asked about our why, meaning our reason for, and I was going about it for a reason of making a change related to alcohol, but it could be your why for anything. But I said, our whys can be fuzzy. And I use that word because that was from in Tiny Habits, in that book by BJ Fogg. He talks about a fuzzy anchor, and an anchor is something that, it's similar to habit stacking, but habit stacking is a little bit different. And I'm not a big fan of habit stacking the way most people think about habit stacking, because most people think, I can just stack a bunch of shit on top of one another and it'll be good. That's not how habit stacking should work. It should be a little bit small. You can't just constantly stack things up. Otherwise it's like Jenga. It's going to fall over and not work. But the anchor is something that we connect a behavior that we want to do to. And we don't want fuzzy anchors. We don't want, like, a fuzzy anchor. Example of a fuzzy anchor is, after dinner, I'm going to do X. What's after dinner mean? Is that
9 o'clock? Is it straight after dinner?
Is it a time? Is it when I put my fork down on the plate and from my last bite, and then after dinner, I'm going to journal, and then I reach into my pocket and pull out my phone and open up my journal app? Or is it, you can get really granular, you should get really granular with some of these things, because it's, okay, what do I do after dinner? I take my plate into the kitchen, I rinse it off, I put it in the dishwasher, or put it in I'm not saying I do these things all the time. I'm just saying this is an example. But where does that stop for you? Because everybody's going to hear that and think of something different. So where does that stop for you? And so it could be, after I finish eating, put my dish in the dishwasher, wash my hands, and dry them off with a dish towel. After I hang up the dish towel, I will blank. So you get to a more concrete thing that can be that indicator that, oh, okay, this is when I start this. I tie a lot of things to coffee in the morning and that. But motivation is something that can be very fuzzy. So it's, how can I make that a little bit clearer about what I want, and make it clear on how I can remind myself about it too, so that I can keep it going. And that, I'm thinking there, like reminders throughout my day, that whether it's a Post-it note on my mirror, or on my dashboard, or in places that you can see it, to remind ourselves of maybe why we're doing things.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of, like, I've said for a long time, and I didn't realize this was a ADHD thing. But if it didn't realize it was an ADHD thing until somewhat recently. But if it's not pinging at me or beeping at me or flashing at me, I'm not going to remember to do it. It's gone. So I'm a big fan of reminders, alarms on my phone.
And just to throw out a warning, on those. If anybody else has this, if you get too many,
you just ignore all of them.
They don't matter anymore. Yeah. And that's where designing our environment and making sure that, those come at the right time. If
I've
you
had
can help
that problem as well.
Yeah.
But also another thing for me is, it can't be written down in a book and put away, because I'm not going to see that either. Like diaries, daily planners, things never really worked for me. It's got to be, a post-it note on a mirror, on a door, on a cupboard. It's got to be written on my hand, or it's got to be somewhere where I'm actually going to look at it. Because if it's in a book and tidied away, it's gone.
Yeah,
it's gone. And one of a great tip I've given a few clients on, like when they're really struggling to get that day one under their belt of being alcohol free, or they keep slipping, I say put a post-it note on the steering wheel of your car, so that when you get in your car, it doesn't have to say don't buy alcohol, or it doesn't have to say something aggressive. It can just be like, I choose me, or I choose healthy, or I choose positive, or some kind of catchphrase that's going to remind you that you're in your car, but you're not going to go to the bottle shop and buy alcohol. And it's just one of those little motivating things, external motivation. It came from an internal motivation, and you've made it an external motivation to remind you this is what we're doing. Or even like a screensaver on your phone maybe, or like a post-it note on your wallet, or like post-it note on your bank card maybe, however you would normally pay for things. Little notes to remind you that to look out for. Notes to remind you that this is the path we're on. This is the track that we want to be on. We made that decision, and let's keep encouraging ourselves to do it.
Absolutely. Keep encouraging ourselves to do it and finding different ways to do it. Like you said, it doesn't have to be anything specific directions on that post-it note. It can just be something that means something to you. And that's powerful. I like to use humor too, like in those things. They have a little note for me whenever I come back in my car or whatever. But yeah.
So I've shown this many times before, but I've got the Reframe brain tattooed on my wrist. How big would that be? It's like 1.5 centimeters, or maybe, I don't think it's about 1 inch wide. Anyway, I got the Reframe brain tattooed on my wrist. It means nothing to most people, and reframers would recognize the logo. But for me, it's not like a blatant, I am sober, I will not drink, I do not drink. It's so to anyone in the outside world, anyone not familiar with Reframe, it's just a kind of funky design on my wrist. Some people will be like, oh, what's that about? And I'll explain it to them. And now in my journey, I'm happy to explain to them what it is and why it's there. But for me, it's a constant reminder every time I reach for a glass. It's a reminder that I will not drink, but it's also an acknowledgement of how freaking awesome I am that I've done this. I've managed to break this cycle and break this habit of negative drinking habits.
Yeah.
A really positive way of putting being a shithead drinker.
Yeah. And that's I'm a fan of. I have all kinds of.
You doubled down and got a big Reframe brain.
Oh yeah, I did.
That was fun.
It's proportionate to all my other tattoos around it, so it's good. But yeah, no,
I think you just encouraged me to get bigger and more tattoos.
Yeah,
that's what I heard.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm planning mine right now.
Same.
I have a lot of those similar ones too, where those reminders. The simplest one I have on my left outer wrist. It just says now, but it's in like the old alarm clock with the red digital letter numbers, and it has an N in that format with the 2, the colon or whatever, and OW after it, and it just says now, but it's like in the digital clock font.
The time is now.
Yeah, and I said something else earlier. I can't remember what it was about. It's not, posting on social media. It's not look at me. It's not look at me. I'm enlightened. I live in the now. No, that's a reminder for me to live in the freaking now. It's okay. It's a grounding technique for me almost. That's what I use a lot of these little things for. And you don't have to go permanent.
You don't have to go get a tattoo on your wrist like us.
Yeah. And since I've gotten the now tattoo as well in the last 2 years, my wife has never asked me what time it is, because on day one, I'm like, yep, for the rest of our life, every time you ask me what time it is, guess what time it is?
Now. It's now time.
it's not been lost on me that she has never asked me. Been waiting. She's never asked me what time it is.
Poor wife.
I know. There's so many random phrases in my head that just get fired off whenever she says certain keywords and puts them together. So what else? So we're with this whole April awareness, and yeah, like we said, it's spring here, and it can be, you don't have to be going into spring to do some cleaning, decluttering, spring cleaning, whatever you want to call it, fall cleaning. But autumn. What do you feel like, what comes up for you whenever you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It still makes sense for me in heading into autumn to do like a detox or a revisit or an assessment. I know that sounds big and scary, but like looking at where we're at and what's going on for us.
In many different areas, right? It could be physical, it could be digital, it could be in what's taking up space in our mind.
Yeah. Have you noticed, is there like a negative thought pattern that what's happening throughout the day for you in your mind? Am I regularly talking negatively to myself? Am I regularly putting shoulds on myself? And how can I change that? How can I revisit that? Or do I want to revisit that? Something I'm working with my therapist on is doing more kind of, I noticed that the wheels were starting to fall off for a little bit for myself. We're going through a really busy season in our family's life, and it was really hectic, and I was starting to feel really disconnected from myself. And my therapist was like, you know what, she made me sit down and reflect what's happening, what's missing, and like what are you forgetting to do, or what's not happening, not what are you forgetting to do. She would never say that because I forget all sorts of things. Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know what I'm forgetting.
I'm forgetting everything. No, I noticed that I've stopped meditating because I'm busy. I put an emphasis on stretching and mobility. I have terrible hips. They like to pop out and dislocate, and it's painful and horrible. Yeah. Yours don't. Mine
don't pop out. Yeah, I raised my hand because I was like, me too on the hips, but mine are just super tight and affect my back and everything else.
And so I said, so I'll go to the gym and I'll do my morning workout, and then I come home and I'll stretch for a good like half hour and do this mobility routine to help stretch out my body. And it's been working really well, but that means I haven't been getting home from the gym. I said gym, having a coffee and sitting on the deck and watching the sunrise and doing a meditation. So my meditation's missing, which then means I'm less grounded and less kind of present within myself. And working with my therapist, she helped me recognize that. So going into this season, I think I still want to do the mobility training. So how am I going to rejig my mornings or maybe I don't do a morning meditation. Maybe it's an evening meditation.
I asked, when you're doing the mobility and stretching, because I have a picture in my head of like what I'm doing. What are you doing?
I'm doing specifically. I'm doing like horse squats.
Like,
I'm doing all sorts. I'm all over the place. I'm doing single-legged squats and single-legged RDLs, and I'm doing.
So it's more working out and doing movement versus I'm getting down on the ground and doing a lot of yoga poses and holding them longer and stretches and that. Okay.
So I could do that. I could focus more on yoga and doing more of a meditative yoga. Something I do want to find, on the encouragement of my therapist, find like positive affirmation type meditations. And I can't meditate unless someone's telling me what to do. When I meditate, I cannot sit down and meditate by myself. It has to be a guided meditation. So that's, I guess, my goal for the week is to find a guided meditation that includes positive affirmations, because positive affirmations still feel really icky to me. But so cleaning out, or the April awakening for me is okay. It's more of a clean out of my mind and my brain and my thoughts, and reassessing all of that and being a bit more introspective, I guess. I was going to say introverted. That's not the right word. Introspective of what needs a detox, what needs a freshen.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's my mind.
Yeah. At the moment, for me, it's my body, I'll say. Movement is something that I let that seed die a few months ago. So that is, and I could point to many different reasons why, but...
Do you need to, though? That's an interesting... Like, does there need to be a reason? It did, and let's carry on.
I feel it can be helpful to... So it depends, right? It depends on if I'm making excuses, which I could see it as that. But if I'm making excuses, if I'm trying to if I'm beating myself up too much or whatever, it can be helpful for me to look back and say, okay, what's made this difficult? Why hasn't this been working? And I can see that my back has been an issue this past year. And that's a chicken and the egg thing too, with my movement and that keeping up on it in a specific way. But it was always like one thing led to another. And then this year, dealing with family member being sick and the loss, and that just been and busy and all that, is just haven't had the capacity. That's not the time. It's the capacity to really commit to that. But I am feeling like now's the time. Plant that seed, show up just a little bit, and allow it to grow at a natural rate, so you don't throw your back out again.
Let's not go into 2 45-minute workouts like every day.
I can't promise that. But that being said, my 2 45-minute workouts can be a 45-minute walk and a 45 minutes of me stretching on the ground watching TV.
Good point.
I allow that.
Let's not go into 2 45-minute, like a HIIT class, 45-minute HIIT class and a 45-minute strength.
That's why that's, because you can't do that.
Then would end in Kevin lying on the floor with a broken back.
Yeah. But my motivation might be to do those types of things that, like I mentioned 75 hard before, like a challenge that has stuff like that, as long as I show up for it, meet myself where I'm at and not where I used to be or where I see somebody else is, allowing myself to grow at a natural rate. Again, continuing to pull back to the seed thing. But
it's like I think we will do a podcast eventually on analogies on our journey, because we throw out a lot of gardening analogies, and there's, what's the other one, like a sea or a ship, sailing analogies in our journey. But I'm a big visual thinker, so it works for me. Yeah. I need images.
Yeah. There's a lot of correlations to like getting stronger, working out, that type of thing, where you have to show up consistently and all that, but also incorporate rest. But yeah.
That's for a future episode. Watch this space.
Yeah. So
keep coming back, like and subscribe. I keep hearing the people on the podcast that I listen to be like, and subscribe and follow, and I feel like we should do that as well.
I think we said
there we go, people.
We might say it at the end.
Do we?
Yeah, please like and subscribe.
Oh, okay, cool, good.
Share with a friend. It's the adding in, it's the removing, it's the having that patience, it's becoming aware of where you feel you need it, but also looking at it more, I think, just long term, and what can be the thing that we're not just doing it for 30 days, right? It's not that we have to do everything. If we set out and we do this, doesn't mean we have to keep doing it. Maybe we adjust it. Maybe we let it evolve naturally, or we just take a little piece out of it. But how are we? I like the word sustainable. How are we like being sustainable or thriving in the long term, looking ahead too? It can be good to, I always think that don't worry about scaling something that you're doing right away. Like just throw everything at it. It doesn't have to scale to a longer term period, or if you're thinking of being sustainable that we do, we can do stuff that's unsustainable in a small, short period of time, I feel, when we try things out. And then we can, once we see how things might work and all that, then we can look at how it can become a sustainable part of our day or practice, our life. But yeah, what can we continue to do with that to grow it? I don't know. I'm all over the place there with the looking forward. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that side of things.
I was just thinking, as you were talking about trying things, I was like, we might have this intention or this goal of, I don't know, I'm going to run a marathon. I keep going back to fitness because, I don't know, it seems like easy goals.
When I was 30, I ran a marathon, but I didn't do it for the day after the day of the marathon. When we were driving back home, I was like, never doing that again.
Yeah. But you might set out with the like goal of, I'm going to run a marathon, and then as you're running, you realize you got old hips like me, and running a marathon might not actually be the goal that you want, and that's okay because you've tried it, you've given it a crack, and you've incorporated this into your lifestyle And it's okay to reassess and be like, actually, this doesn't fit in with my lifestyle. Yeah. I've never run a full marathon, but I've run 3 halves. And I was getting super excited. I was like, yeah, I'm going to work up to a full marathon. And then I realized my hips don't like running. Yeah. So with that dream or that goal has been put in its place.
Or you could also start doing it and be like, I'm just doing this this is a bucket list thing. I'm going to cross this off and move on.
Do it once, and yeah, it doesn't have to be a sustainable goal that you do for the rest of your life.
But I was also going the flip side of what you were saying was that I could love it. And I could go from just running that marathon and crossing off my list to doing that more, not necessarily, I'm not saying we're insert whatever you want for marathon here.
Insert hobby. Yeah.
Yeah. But I could keep that going, and that could be my new thing of it could just be running. I could be a runner. It's that whole identity thought process, but I'm just not somebody who's checking off a marathon anymore. I'm a runner now. And you can keep that going, but that can evolve in different ways as well. Maybe that turns into, hey, you like to swim in the pool. Obviously, where else did you swim? I guess, yeah, in the ocean, sea, yeah,
in the
whatever.
Lake.
But I was like, okay. But like, I could maybe go from that to being like, you know what? I love running, but it's not great for my knees. Well, let me try swimming. Let me go to the local pool and some laps, get some lessons on how to do it properly and things like that, where you can grow, it can branch off into other areas that you didn't even realize, but only by allowing planting that seed, allowing it to grow a little bit. Do you realize that you hate roses and you said peonies or whatever, something else, and you can go that different route. You still want the flowers out there, but it's just different.
Beautiful.
Blossoming, thriving. Get thrive.
Hashtag get thrive. I feel like there are no more gardening analogies to be made.
The only reminder is just patience, I think. That's my biggest thing too, is that I want to get to a certain point. I want to get things done. I want to get to, and it's not how things work.
When excuse me, before husband and I got married, we were meeting with our celebrant, our pastor. And did that sound like pasta, like a noodle to you? Rather than church pasta?
Given the context, I didn't hear it that way. I heard what you said, what you meant.
Cool. Okay, good. No, we weren't meeting with noodles. We were, although I would take pasta anyway, we were meeting with our pastor, our celebrant, and she was asking us things like, what is it, like, why, what is it that you see in your fiance at the time? What is it? Why do you want to marry this person? And I was like, he has so much patience. This was before we knew I had ADHD, before I was diagnosed, before I was medicated. So this is me medicated. Can you imagine me unmedicated? Kevin, you have met me unmedicated. And like the biggest draw, or one of the biggest draws of the reason that I love my husband so much is he has so much patience. Whereas I'm rip, shit, or bust. I'm like, get in there, do it, get it done. I want results now. And he's definitely my calming, like time takes time, one step at a time. Yeah. So I need to learn more from my husband. I'm like you, Kev, I have no patience. Does your wife, is she really patient? And is she a calming effect on you?
If anything, I'm probably the calming effect on her.
Oh, that's...
okay, from this standpoint, she said this before, I feel it's more of my analytical, rational side is the calming effect. Okay. Because not that she's not irrational, or not that she's irrational or not analytical, but I'm just too much.
So much.
I'm a little bit much, I will admit. But she'll bounce some things off of me because she wants me to do that and help ground her in something that she might be not liking at the moment, or something that's driving her nuts or whatever. And I come in and I'm like, maybe it's this. And, or I'll ask some questions and then it'll be like, okay, shut up. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
We're done. Thanks.
Yeah. I didn't think of that, but that's a good point. Not all the time, but I can also there's also a flip side to that where that also can annoy her. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I don't need you to be rational right now, or stop it.
The best marriage advice anyone ever gave us was when your spouse comes home or you're in a conversation with your spouse and your spouse is starting to like rant or like having a moment, you can literally say to your spouse, do you need me to help you and help solve your problem, or do you just need to talk and rant? And that is like the best marriage advice ever, because husband and I both used to get frustrated with each other because we'd be like, have you tried, let's blah, 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 blah. And so, no, I actually just want to. So yeah, I get that. Sometimes we just need our spouse to bounce ideas off, give us some patience, give us some guidance, give us some analytics. Sometimes and we just need our spouse to be a safe space to blurt.
Yep. And that's, I don't know if I got that advice or I realized that I think more on this as I was trying to add patience in as my word of the year for 2020, I think it was. The thing too, where I was like, okay, I can't, she's not asking me to fix this. And mind you, okay, so let's just use 2020. Mind you, we were already married for 17 freaking years at that point. So,
wow, you're so old.
I know. We got married young.
You did.
We were 24, 23, 24. Yeah, because we'll be 22 years married this year, but we've been going out since high school too.
So cute.
Yeah, and my daughter's going to be an adult this year, which is crazy as well. I am old.
I still vote send her to New Zealand for university. Send her on an exchange.
Hey, we've floated it out there. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I'll just say that.
It's a great idea.
But
send her over to Mama M.
Yeah.
We're sending you to live with a stranger. Good luck.
Hey.
On the other side of the world.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
I mean, I'm going to send her to go live with a stranger on the other side of the world. Living in your neck of the woods in New Zealand isn't that bad, probably. Not a bad selection, at least.
Yeah, could be worse.
Could be worse. I doubt it'll happen, though. But we'll see. It's always a chance.
I'm always throwing out, like, little fish hooks or planting seeds everywhere. Come to New Zealand. Send your kids to New Zealand. Do an exchange to New Zealand. How about a holiday in New Zealand?
Yeah. There's a lot of dead plants there, folks.
One day, one of you will make it.
Yeah.
I have actually there was one reframer that I met that came over to New Zealand, and we went out for the afternoon. That was pretty cool.
That is cool.
To show them around Auckland.
That's on our list eventually. I don't know when that's going to happen, but yeah, we shall see.
I'll just keep fertilizing it. It's okay. Alrighty. What's your nugget for the week? I was today years old when I learned
how to cross stitch. There you go.
I love so much that you're cross stitching. Yeah,
you just threw that softball up there in the perfect way you phrased that. Yeah, that's my nugget. That's my thing. I learned that it works well with me. So
interesting.
So backstory on that is, my mom has always done crocheting, cross stitching, all kinds of creative things like that. And I hosted the creatives meeting last week, and we were talking about like creating a gratitude practice, but a creative gratitude practice. What could it be? And it could be going out on a walk and taking pictures of things you're grateful for. It could be writing things, writing stories, writing letters, writing just what you're grateful for. A number of ways that we could create a tangible practice, as we mentioned before, with it. And mine was, I want to finish an unfinished project, which was, because that was on one of the things on the list I shared. And that was, because my mom recently passed away, and I have gone around the house and, actually, here you go. She's made a lot of very creative cross stitches, as well as, and this one here is a small little one with the poop emoji on it that says "Have a nice poop," that she gave all of the kids for their bathrooms as a joke one Christmas.
I love it.
But she's done she has one with a big sunflower on it that she made for my daughter that says "Be Beautiful." So BEYOU, and the O was this big sunflower, and then "Tiful" at the end. She's made stuff for my coffee area and all of that. But she started, and she has a Star Wars one here. but she started a Star Wars one, and it was a big one. It's I don't know the size of it, but I'm just looking at the 1.5 rectangle sections that she did was about like 5 inches, let's say, by 4 by 5. I don't know centimeters.
Paper size, yeah, because I don't know inches very well either. But so if it was like, is it A4, is it A2, A3, A1? Like how big? Is it the size of the whiteboard behind you?
No.
All up? No. Okay.
Here's
Right, he's
it's
holding it
maybe
up.
not 4.
That's like almost an A4 size piece of paper for just one section there.
Yeah. So one section.
Yeah.
There's 50 sections in this thing.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And it's very detailed. It's a bunch of Star Wars characters all together in space, and it's a cool little image. But she started it, and she joked that she did the math on it, that it would take her 4 years to finish at the pace she was doing it at. You know, I could do it quicker, obviously, but she'd sit down and do it here and there or at night so that's my gratitude type of practice that I decided I wanted to work on, and that is finishing that cross stitch.
But learning how to do it first, like you can't just charge into a massive, intense project like that. Yeah,
and that's where my llama comes in, because I went to Michael's and I got my llama kit that was a beginner kit, and I've been doing that this week, and I learned. So this is coming back. I learned that I really like cross stitching because it works well with my mind, because I'm doing it at night. Okay, I'm done working, and I'm going to stop. I'm going to go downstairs. Maybe we throw something on TV, and I would maybe just scroll on my phone or whatever before. Now I'm sitting there and I'm just doing this, and you have to pay attention because you have to put the different colors in the right spots and all of that. But it's also that repetitive motion. I like putting Legos together. I like just following instructions and working with my hands that way. And this is a much cheaper version of that, but it's definitely something that I'm like, ooh, I could get involved with this. And I'm sitting there laughing at myself too, because last Saturday I started doing this one, and I'm sitting there and I'm on the end of the couch, and Avery are over there, and I just start laughing. They're like, what? I'm like, do I look as old as I think I look right now? It's my glasses were sliding down to the end of my nose at one point, and I'm just sitting there like with my tongue out as I'm concentrating on something, and I'm like, I just look ridiculous here. So it's just funny.
That's cute. I can absolutely see how cross stitching would work with your brain. It's slightly analytical and process driven, but creative, and doing something with your hands, doing something tangible because you've got your fidgety fingers. Yeah, I love that.
Yep. What about you?
This is probably the first week where I don't have a solid nugget to share. Normally it's me that's, I've got a nugget, and I've got something that I've learned, and you're like, oh crap, what am I going to say? No, I got nothing. I've learned nothing this week. That's not a bad thing.
No.
I've been so busy this week where I've been one foot in front of the other, and that's okay.
You were a proud mama status yesterday with
proud mama. Such proud mama.
Dance.
Yeah.
I was going to say competition. Is it a competition?
It's competition. Yeah. Auckland West Dance Academy competition. Yeah, so my baby, who is now 10, competed in the under 12 category. So she was the youngest in her category. She got very highly commended. Didn't place, but it was her very first competition, very first time performing this dance that she's only learned she started learning it in end of January, so 2 months. Still got very highly commended. She danced beautifully. I was crying. I was side stage, making sure that she got on stage. Husband was in the audience with her dance teacher. Everyone was crying. It was beautiful. Kevin didn't cry.
I didn't. She sent it to me before this, and I was watching it, and she was like, we were on camera, like she was watching me. She's like, why aren't you crying right now? I'm like, I didn't realize I was supposed to. I'm like, this is cool. She's doing great. I'm pretty sure I don't have the same emotional connection as you. I was actually I immediately went back to, I was so happy when Avery gave that up. Just because I remember those. They weren't competitions either. They were recitals with the type she was doing. She did gymnastics too, though. That was also a good day when she gave that up and we switched over to soccer.
I don't know. of course, I have a T-shirt that says Dance Mum on it. It's got my name on the front,
Yeah.
Dance Mum on the
Yeah.
back, and the dance school's logo, because I'm that kind of dance mum. But yeah, no, it's almost like my hobby is.
Yeah, and I don't want to offend anybody. I said it was a good day because she wasn't that into it. Like, your daughter seems very good, very into it, like she loves it. Versus Avery was just like, meh. It was okay. It wasn't that big a deal. So I was like, okay, if it's not that big a deal, we shouldn't keep doing this because
Why are we spending this much
Yeah.
money on it?
Yeah.
It's not cheap, and it's a lot of effort and energy.
and
But
a
if
lot of
it's worth it,
time
it's
just
worth it.
sitting watching other kids too,
Yeah, I
which
don't.
is fun.
Yeah, maybe I'm a bad dance mum. I don't necessarily enjoy watching other kids dance. I like watching my kids
Well,
dance.
that's what I mean. I didn't want that. I didn't care about them.
My kids are amazing.
Yeah.
Other kids, eh. No, I shouldn't say it like that.
No, everybody's kids are amazing.
I think you need a connection to it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You need a connection to the kid to be able to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Or to fully appreciate it. Anywho, massive tangent. I don't necessarily have a nugget other than, or maybe my nugget is my hobby is being a dance mum. My
Well,
joy
that's what I was
is being
giving
a
you.
dance
That's
mum.
your nugget. Is you had that joy yesterday.
Big joy. Big feelings. And completely sober and able to feel and appreciate all those beautiful feelings.
Yep. All right.
You gonna read the outro or am I? I did the intro.
Do you want to read the outro? We'll switch it totally up, or
I
you
can
want me
read the
to?
outro. I can do it. I'll do it
Okay.
cold. There's nothing in there that I need to change my name or anything. No, okay. Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Reframeable podcast, brought to you by the Reframe app. Reframe is the #1 iOS and Android app to help you cut back or quit drinking alcohol. It uses neuroscience to reframe your relationship with alcohol and unlock the healthiest, happiest you. If you're enjoying this podcast, please like, subscribe, and share with those. If you're enjoying this podcast, please like, subscribe, and share with those that you feel may benefit from it. If you have a topic you'd like us to cover on the podcast, send an email to podcast@reframeapp.com and let us know. I want to thank you again for listening, and be sure to come back again for another episode. Have a great day.
Bye, friends. That wasn't as high as that wasn't as high as you get. And
bye, friends.
Thank you. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel natural. I tried.
Are you gonna leave it in?
We're gonna leave it all
Good,
in, even
that's
your
funny.
blah blah blah. Yes. Have a great day, everyone, and we will see you back here soon.
Bye, friends.